Hi, okay, so today I want to show you really quickly how you can use the Zoom tool. This is going to be a new tool that we're going to use for conferencing since I think Big Blue Button didn't work out so well for us, or I sort of had problems with it before. So Zoom is really nice because it is really simple to use and it's really effective and it does good recordings. So uh, right now I'm logged into Safari on a Mac. I will show Windows you know, as well. And I'll try to also maybe do some mobile device examples too. But when you go into the not Blackboard, Canvas class, um, find the class that you're looking for, make sure it's the right one up here, and you're going to go down to where it says Confer Now. Click on that. It's something that I've added. And on a Mac, you're going to see, this option to join whatever the session is that's available that I tell you to look for. And in this case, it's the example Zoom session. So I'm going to click on join. And so it might prompt you to install some stuff. All right. And so that's going to be really important that you allow it to install whatever it needs to install. So I'm just going to also tell it that I want to allow Zoom.us to use this. And you you may very well need to install something for the first time. And so one of the things that you're going to notice is about this example that I'm giving you is that I'm the only one who's going to be in this session trying to connect on different devices. So the challenge with that is that it's going to recognize who I am on my devices, but in the reality, you would have different people on different devices. So just be aware of that in this example. So one of the first things that you're going to see on a Mac, right, is you're going to see this join audio conference by computer. Before you do that, I'm going to tell you to click on test computer, mic, and speakers. The other thing that you might notice is the minute that you launch something, your video might already be started. In fact, that is the default to automatically start your video. So I'm going to show you some settings that you can change to adjust that. So I'm going to click on test computer, mic and speakers. So you can see right now that my mic is working. You can see the activity bar working, and so you can also adjust the settings. If for some reason this isn't chosen and you can't get the right thing to be selected and it doesn't seem like it's working, on a Mac, what you want to do is go up to your Apple, go to System Preferences, and make sure that in System Preferences, here, let me move this over, make sure that in System Preferences, your audio under Sound is actually set for the correct input and output. And what I'm going to ask you to do is try to always do output through headset so that if you're using an ambient sound, like your internal computer's mic, for the input, like if you were using internal microphone, it's going to be picking up everything that's in the room, including the sound coming out of any speakers. So it's going to do this weird echo and possibly feedback effect. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you don't have a headset with a microphone on it and you're just using your internal mic, I'm going to choose my Logitech headset. But if that's the case for you and you're using your ambient internal mic, go to the output and please use a pair of headphones. All right, don't just use your internal speakers. Use your Logitech or whatever your headset happens to be, whether it's just through the audio jack or whatever. Okay. All right. So that's something. If this panel's not working, then test that. And then here you can do test speaker. And I can hear a sound. I don't believe that you probably can because of the way it's being recorded, but I could hear a sound and it was working. So I know it's working. So then also you can go to video and you can test. Hello, there I am. So you can also test so that your video looks the way that you want it to, but also more importantly, you can change this enable mirror thing so that it's like you're looking in a mirror. The other thing too is you want to always choose to show your name. And then I like to do this where it says always turn off video when joining a meeting. And the reason for that is because sometimes you're going to get, you're going to end up getting, like right when you sign in, if you're not prepared and you don't know, like what is behind you or whatever, it's going to immediately show your face or whatever's in your camera. It's going to show it to the entire conferencing group. So that's the only thing I don't really like about this, is that that's enabled, but it's so that it just works right off the bat. So you actually have to go here and turn this off. So you might want to just make sure. What I like to do is that if I'm going to be in sessions that, I'm not really sure who's going to be there, or, like I don't know what the video monitor is going to be picking up right away. One of the things that I'll do is on my computer, right where the little mic is, or not mic, the little camera is that I'll actually put a small piece of tape over it, so that when I do first join a meeting, I get to choose when I pull that piece of tape off, if my settings are automatic, right? So that's just an option for you to think about. And then you can, hide anybody who's not using video, so it doesn't show up as a black screen. I'm going to take that off for now, just so that you can see what that looks like. You're probably going to want to click that. And then I have it so that it's set to spotlight my video when I speak. Okay. Okay, so, and then you can choose, what kind of camera, whether you're using the original ratio like that, right? So you can do something like that, or you can do the widescreen. I'm probably just going to stick with this. It's really kind of up to you, I guess. You can also enable HD video. If you do HD, it's going to automatically go to widescreen. The other thing too about HD is that it kind of does take up more bandwidth. So either way, and HD automatically does this 16:9 ratio. So that's something else to think about. Okay, and don't worry about this other stuff. So anyway, I'm going to go back to the original ratio. And so I went ahead and I picked the original ratio, and you can see it. I've got a lot of light behind me, and so as I move my head around, it gets lighter and darker. So I apologize about that. So anyway, just I guess kind of deal with it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this, and these are kinds of the same settings. You might see them in a slightly different configuration on Windows. I'll kind of go over that in just a second here though. But I'm going to close this, and that's my standard picture that I have put in there. I don't know that you guys can put your own picture in there, but this is the standard picture that I have because I have a pro account, and you might just not even be able to put a static picture in there. So if I want to go ahead and start video though, I can just click on that, and it automatically pulls up my my video that I have, right? And I'm the only participant right now. If I wanted to show you, the other thing too is that here it says, I'm going to go ahead and join audio by conference. So it says I'm using the computer audio, which is good. All right, the other thing too is that there's if these buttons down here don't automatically show up, you can sort of move your mouse down and they should appear. So I have a chat option. So if I click that, it'll open up over here. Same is going to be true for you as well. And you can tell it to go to everyone, but right now there are no other people who are in the session at the moment. So I can't send a message to someone specific, but I also have the ability to record, as I think you should also. We should all have the ability to share our screens. So I'll do that in a moment. And then here it says invite. I'm probably going to send you guys an invitation. You don't have to mess with this, but and at any point, you can unmute or mute yourself and see. I was muted. And the irony kind of this whole thing is that even though I was muted, you should still be able to hear me speaking, because I'm actually using screen recording software to record this whole session. So if you want me to be able to hear you, you have to click this unmute button if you're already muted. If you don't want me to hear what's happening at your house, then go ahead and make sure to click this mute button, and it will mute you. And then you can also click this little push-up arrow to set what you want your system audio settings to be. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute myself for the time being, and I'll leave my video on for a moment. And the other thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually switch over to Windows, and when I do that, I'm going to kind of walk you through that installation process as well. And then we'll have another computer in the session. All right. Okay, so in this one, we're going to go to our class. So make sure up here it's the right class. And then you're going to choose where it says Confer Now. This is where the new Zoom recordings will be. And then you're going to find this example Zoom recording, and you're going to join the session, as long as it's currently in progress or it's available. And then you're going to see this thing that's going to ask you to save the file if you've never used Zoom on your computer. Okay, and then so go ahead and agree to save the file, and I'm going to click it right here. And you'll see that it tells you that it's going to use this little blue download whenever you're in like Firefox. It might look a little different when you're on Chrome. It's going to go down to the bottom of the screen. So now it's I clicked on that little blue button, blue arrow, and it's showing the Zoom installer download. Now it's initializing, okay, and it's installing it for me. So anyway, you're going to just walk through this process if you've never used it before. And then whenever it connects, you're going to be able to do a name. I'm going to put something crazy like Imogene Franken so that anyway, you can also take the remember my name off for future meetings, which I'm going to do. Okay, so it went ahead and it launched the session for me, and you're going to see this. It's the same as it was on Safari, and I don't like to click automatically join audio when first joining a session. That's really up to you. You have to remember to turn your audio on. So if you want people to automatically hear what's happening immediately as soon as they come in, you can click this. Otherwise, you can deselect it. The other thing is, again, on Windows, you are going to need to test your mic and your speaker setup. I'm not going to go through that again. Video, one thing that is a little weird, you're not seeing my video here, but you'll see it on your computer. The reason you don't see anything here is because I'm actually running Windows right now in a virtual machine on my Mac. So I'm using the same camera on the same computer, even though it's two different operating systems running. So if you don't understand what that means, don't worry about it. You should see video here, even though I don't in this example for Windows. But you can still change all your settings. You can see it's a little different here on Windows. It has the options, the setting options list on the left instead of up on the top as little buttons. So again, on Windows, you want to choose which ratio you want, whether or not to capture HD. Always show your name. I would say, if I were you, I would deselect, or I would select turn off my video when joining meetings, and then that way, see, by default, that should be deselected, and probably as soon as you launch, right over here, you can see that if you look at, this name, it's popping up as L. Cotnoir student because that's how I'm logged in as a student. And so anyway, you might see like something that's blank with your name on it, for instance. Anyway, so you can also go to General, and you can look at all of these different options and choose the ones that you feel are going to, best suit your environment and your needs. Like, okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this settings panel, and I'm just going to say join conference by computer. All right, and you see that what's happening is if I click on participants, you see that I've got two versions of L. Cotnoir student, and I don't want that to be confusing to you. The host, all right, is the one that I have right now on my Mac, and this L. Cotnoir student that has a the speaker or the mic working that has no picture up here that just says LC, that's on my Windows computer. So I do technically have two different clients that are engaged in the same session right now. And so if I were a student and I wanted to come over here and raise my hand, you'll see the hand goes up. If I want to say, oh, okay, I don't have a question after all, I can lower my hand. And you can see right here, I don't see myself, right? I just see this blank black box, and that's normal. That's what's going to happen. If you want to go up here where it says speaker view, then what you would see is the host or whoever happens to be speaking, actually speaking. And really, as a host, I would have my mute button turned off. You see that down here, it shows that my mute button's turned off. So that if you can't hear me, by the way, and I was foolish and you can see a strike through on my mic, then what you need to do is you need to come uh, over here and to the chat window. You can click chat down here, and if you just put your mouse down here, this bar will show up if it's not visible. And so in chat, you can go to everyone and you could type, "Hey, well, teacher, whatever. Your mute is on," okay? All right, and so you could send that, and then everybody would see that. So I could go back into my Mac and I would actually see that my mute is on, and I would see that I had gotten this this notice. Okay. Now the other thing too is that I can choose who I'm sending it to, right? I can choose to send something just to the host. So you can have little breakout private discussions, just like you could in Blackboard. There's a more button. You can save the chat here. So I'm going to hover back down here. I can share my screen, which is kind of beneficial, right? So I could invite people. Right now, I don't have a video option in Windows, and that is because I mentioned to you before that my computer is using the same video camera as, I should say that Windows is using the same video camera as the my Apple operating system, because I'm on a virtual machine. That's all. They're both running on the same computer right now. So that's why my video is not showing up, but you should have a video option there. And then, same as here with this microphone stuff, right? And then here's where you leave the meeting. You want to go full screen, you can click the full screen button and it takes you to full screen. All right, I'm going to exit full screen though. The other thing too is that you can do, this kind of thing, and it's warning me that low resources for my system are going to affect my video quality. That's where I might start looking like I'm out of sync with what I'm saying, possibly. Again, this is most likely because I'm on a virtual machine. But anyway, I can minimize all of these things. I can get out of full screen, for instance, and then I could go back to the gallery view where I see everybody. And if there were a whole bunch of people here, you would see all of their names or faces. All right, so if you don't want to be on video, just turn your video off, and then you don't have to worry about this. Okay. Anyway, so those are the most important things. And there's also screen sharing. So if you want to share your screen, you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and I'll share my screen on here, and then if I click that, it gives you these different options that you could share. You could share your entire desktop so people would see everything. You can also, I'm not going to mess with this iPad phone thing, but you can go to a whiteboard and you can share a whiteboard. You can launch an application. Multiple people cannot share at the same time. So if I try to share as a student from Windows, let's just say that I want to share my entire desktop. I'll select that and then go share screen like this. And so this is the screen that I currently have. And let's open a new window and let's go to MiraCosta's website, for instance, miracosta.edu. Okay. And so I can go to MiraCosta's website. Now I'm going to jump back over to the other session in my recording, right? So the one that's on the Mac side in Safari, and I will show you that I should be able to see this screen, right? And now you'll see that now that I'm sharing my screen, if I come up here and hover, you see that this is where that bottom bar that I had before, that's where it goes. And then here you can give the keyboard and mouse control to somebody else. You can click on this more button. You can stop sharing with this little red button that says stop sharing. If I click on more, you can see that I can go ahead and do some other stuff too, right? Including leaving a meeting. So real quick, I'm just going to jump over. In fact, I'm just going to move my Windows. This is my Windows computer, y'all. Okay, I'm just going to move my Windows computer out of the way for a moment. And then I'm going to pull my Mac session up. This is me in Safari, okay? And you can see what's really cool is that now I'm in Safari on a Mac, and I can see the screen that's being shared in Windows by that other user, right? For instance, so I can see here it says, hey teacher, your mute is on. And I can go back and I can say, hey, thanks. Hey, thanks. Right? And then I can go over here and I can unmute. Okay. Now, the reason I'm taking this mute and I'm turning it back on is because I keep hearing it back in my own headset. And while I'm recording, I don't want that to happen. So I would normally have my mute turned off. Okay. So yeah, and there's some other things that we can do. We can also connect through a phone, which is something that you can't do using the big blue button tool. That doesn't, because it requires Java, or sorry, because it requires Flash, I should say. You can't use it on a lot of phones. So I'm going to just real quickly go ahead and show you that. Okay, so I'm on an Android right now, and what you would want to do is go into your application section, and you would want to do a search for the word Zoom and look for the application that you want to install. And make sure that it's this top one that you've got clicked up at the, or that I have selected at the very top. It's got the little blue icon with the little video recorder in it. That is going to be correct. It's called Zoom Cloud Meetings. I've already installed it, but you'll want to select that and go ahead and install it if it's not already installed. Another one that you'll want as well, okay, is going to be Canvas. Oops. All right, it's going to be Canvas. If you don't already have Canvas installed, then you would want to go ahead and choose Canvas, and you can, I already have it installed, so you would go ahead and install it, and I'm just going to go ahead and open it. Okay, and I'm logged in, and so what I want to do is go ahead and select the correct class that I want to use, and then I would need to be able to go and find our conferences. So if you want, you can click on that little X at the top left like I just did, okay, and then you want to be able to click up here where it says Pages, because it's going to default to Pages, and then you would want to be able to scroll down until you see the Confer Now option, which is right there. Okay, so I'm going to click on Confer Now, and then you'll end up seeing that join session. I'm going to have to blow it up kind of, so I'm going to do my pinch and zoom, and you see that it's the example Zoom session, so I'll click on Join. And this, of course, is after you've already installed the Zoom tool. Okay, and so right now I'm using this in vertical orientation. You would be able to also change your orientation to horizontal if you want, and it works quite nicely. The purposes of recording, though, I'm going to leave this alone. So, all right, now you see the screen that's being shared, which is great. And then down in the bottom right corner, you can also see the Mac that's got the muted thing, right? So anyway, it says right now that I've got audio disabled, but one of the other things that you might notice is the video is not disabled. So if you click on video, you can disable your video, all right? By default, your video should automatically get turned on. So that's something that you might want to consider. And I'm going to sort of at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and take a peek at how this looks now on the Mac screen. And so you can see here that what we've got is we've now got 3 of my Leigh Cotnoir student options logged in. If I go back down to my little edit button, you can see that I can actually start to make some decisions about modifying. So I could like circle on the screen and I could just ask some questions, right? I could make an arrow that points to something, which is kind of nice, right? And then it should show up here in just a moment. There it goes. It shows up on my screen here. All right, so there's a lot of stuff that you can do to interact. You could also use this on a phone, right? So you can see that, and I could take my eraser and I could erase everything that I did if I wanted to. I can also just hit the clear button and it gets rid of stuff. I can use a highlighter and so on. So anyway, I'm going to change my video, and then here you can see me like I'm talking, right? And it's using my Android phone's front camera. So this is what somebody would automatically see, just so you know. And you don't realize it if you're using the phone. So just know that immediately, as soon as you connect with your phone, it is automatically going to turn on video. So you have to intentionally go down there and turn it off. And so if you don't want that to happen before you turn on video, or before you turn it off, I should say, on your phone, you can just like cover up with your thumb or something, cover up the front camera, because it's going to automatically want to use your front camera until you can actually go, and make some changes down here to turn off your video like I just did, okay? Now, the other thing that's kind of cool is if I go back into my Windows, all right, I'm going to go back over here to Windows, and this is the one, if you remember, this is the screen that's sharing. I'm going to click on Stop Sharing. Oh, and by the way, this is where I could also annotate, just like I did on the phone. I could draw some stuff, to highlight and show people. Like if I spotlight something, I'm going to spotlight that. Let's take, where is it? I could also type text on the screen. I could do all sorts of stuff. I can even like save a screenshot. So I'm going to just stop sharing right now. And you'll see that it disappeared on my Android, okay, but it's just showing the person who's currently speaking. Okay, now the other thing that I wanted to show you is that if I wanted to share my Android screen, for instance, I can click on the share button, and you can see that on the Android phone recording, what it's showing you is the different stuff that you could share. And you could go and share stuff from Google Drive, photo, right? You can also share the screen. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on Start Now. And that's pretty cool, right? That it shows you some different stuff that you could actually share, right? Okay, so that gives you like some kind of idea as to what you can actually end up doing, right? So, and if you want to stop sharing, you can click on Stop Sharing at any time, right? So you can show people what's happening on your phone screen as well. Okay, so anyway, this is kind of a cool thing, right? And at any time, I could also just record everything that I've been doing. Okay, so anyway, that's the end of this demo. And as soon as you decide that you want to leave, you can literally just click leave the meeting, and I'm just going to go ahead and close here too. Okay, and so I can end meeting because I started the meeting, right?